What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. You guys, welcome back to Gotta Love Them Movies, your place to talk about the stuff that you love. I'm your host, Mr. Mike Brown. I'm here all the time. And guys, today is an open spoiler discussion of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, we know that Zack Snyder's Justice League just came out on HBO Max yesterday. And well, I mean, like it came out on HBO Max yesterday, but it also came out on various platforms around the world. It's on Now TV or Sky Cinema if you're living in the UK. It came out on various other platforms around the world. So in most countries and most places around the world, we have now been able to watch the 4-hour epic of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I'm color me impressed, you guys. Color me impressed. Now, like I said, today is an open spoiler discussion. So we're going to be talking spoilers here. We're going to be talking about plot. We're going to be talking about characters. We're going to talk about character development. We're going to talk about things that we like, things that we don't like. And if there's anything that you want to talk about, jump down to the comment section below and type in what you want to talk about regarding Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, if you have seen the original Justice League, it felt ridiculously neutered. Not just neutered, it just fell flat. It just wasn't interesting. It wasn't fun. We all know the controversy surrounding the Snyders and their family. Not controversy, that's the wrong word. We all know the tragedy that was surrounding that family and the reasons for Zack Snyder and his wife Deborah Snyder leaving the film and Warner Brothers having to hire Joss Whedon to step in and finish the film. There's some controversy about stuff on set. We're not going to get into that stuff. But what I do want to talk about is how impressed I was with this movie. Let me start by saying I went into this movie hoping that I was going to, I knew it was going to be better than the theatrical version. I kind of intrinsically knew that, and I knew I was going to be pleased with the results. I'm not a huge Zack Snyder movie fan. I mean, 300 was amazing. Watchmen was pretty good. And what was the other one that he did that I was like, wow, this is awesome? I can't remember what it was. I don't know, doesn't matter. Man of Steel I thought was okay. Batman versus Superman, I was not a fan. Now, in recent years, having seen that movie since, I have come around to the idea of Batman versus Superman. It's not as much of a train wreck as I would like to say it is. If you let these movies be what they are, if you feel that Superman should look and feel and sound differently than he does in Man of Steel, I can't help you, because the version of what Man of Steel was. Same thing with Batman versus Superman. It's a very specific and unique view or take on these characters. And so what we got in Justice League, yes, was a continuation of this. This is how I went into Zack Snyder's Justice League. I went into this movie thinking, sorry, I've got sinus issues. I'm going to be sniffing a lot, you guys. I went into this movie thinking, this is a trilogy. It's like how the Dark Knight trilogy was. You had Batman Begins, you had The Dark Knight, you had The Dark Knight Rises. I liked Batman Begins. I loved The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises was somewhat of a letdown. And I knew that Man of Steel, BVS, and Zack Snyder's Justice League was kind of going to be like its own contained thing. By the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, by the time credits started rolling at the very end, I felt very strongly we need to see more. Zack Snyder only gave us the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a quote in the movie where Victor Stone's father is explaining to him like the immense power and the abilities that he has as Cyborg. And I think the quote was something like, your strength is just the tip of the iceberg, or rather it's the tip of the tip. And I feel like Zack Snyder's Justice League is the tip of the iceberg. I think Man of Steel was the tip of the tip, but I feel like Zack Snyder's Justice League is the tip of the iceberg. I feel like there's so much more. Let's jump into this article from Deadline real quick, shall we? So Deadline did an interview with Zack Snyder, specifically regarding, a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the things that they addressed was the ending of Justice League, of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And this was one of the things that came out. And bear with me, you guys. Bear with me. There's a lot to read here. So yeah, just bear with me for a second. Deadline asks Zack Snyder the question, let's talk about your new ending, because it looks like you've set us up for more. Zack Snyder says, frankly, the reason I did that was because the ask for like the purest version of the movie, and so that's what I was planning. All those years ago was this epic Lord of the Rings trilogy, starting with this movie, referring to Zack Snyder's Justice League, or rather just Justice League in general. Starting with this movie, I wanted to be true to the sort of structure that we were creating and sort of the look that we had been creating. Even if there's never another movie, it just felt like in genre and in tone to really have this kind of bigger sort of cliffhanger look at the very end. It just made sense to me. So Deadline follows up by saying, so after this epic battle, essentially, what happens? There's an alternate timeline shift and Batman is in this apocalypse? Zack Snyder says, yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, the elevator pitch of the next two movies would have been that Darkseid comes to Earth, Superman succumbs to the anti-life equation, which is the thing that allows Darkseid to control the universe. Superman joins him in his sorrow over the death of Lois Lane, and the Earth falls. And then, in the post-apocalyptic world, Batman and the Flash run time back to save Lois, and therefore Superman does not succumb. And at the very end, there's a giant sort of redo that the sort of history lesson battle that we saw, where the armies of the Men, the Atlanteans, the Themyscirians, and all joined together with the Green Lantern Corps and a few of the other Justice League to finally defeat Darkseid once and for all. So it would have been this ridiculously gigantic third movie. That's a lot to talk about. That's a lot to break down. That's a lot of reading. That's a lot of quotes. I get it. But the way that Zack Snyder had originally constructed or intended his universe to be, it was going to be so much bigger and grand. Like, this is a big, grand movie. It's 4 hours long. I take issue with it being 4 hours, but I also commend it being 4 hours. 4 hours. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Zack Snyder had originally intended the Justice League movies to be a series, there was going to be a series of 3. So there was going to be there was going to be Man of Steel, and then BVS, which was all a prelude into Justice League 1, Justice League 2, Justice League 3, right? That would have been epic. Now, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, that's fine. That's completely subjective. You're allowed to not like things. You're allowed to not like things that are great. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Citizen Kane, Orson Welles' epic classic. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever made. I'm allowed to have that opinion. It's art. All of art is subjective, you guys. But I do think that there is also an objectivity to this, to say that these movies would have been fantastic, like just grand. Like them or don't like them, I think that there was there's something epic buried in here. Now, are we going to be able to see it? Let's jump over to Cinema Blend for a second. Cinema Blend kind of addresses this issue also with an interview from Zack Snyder. And this is what Zack Snyder had to say when he was asked about restore the Snyderverse. There's a hashtag going around, restore the Snyderverse, because we know that Zack Snyder isn't going to continue on with these movies. Or is he? So this is what Zack Snyder had to say about it. He says, listen, I really appreciate the support. It's unbelievable. I think it's just a testament in a lot of ways to the way that we approach these characters. And I think that the way that I feel about them is similar to the way a lot of fans feel about them. They take this seriously and they believe in this mythology. They want to know. They want to go on that journey. All I can say is, that we didn't think that we'd be sitting here making this movie and releasing it. That's for sure. So, I'm happy to talk with the fans at any time that they want to talk about this universe. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that is Zack Snyder, is how accessible he is. He makes himself so accessible and approachable to the fans. He hosts so many different talkback sessions on I think he does Reddit, and I think he does a few other talkback sessions where you can talk directly to Zack Snyder and have these candid conversations with him. I think that's great. Now, in this quote that I just read, he doesn't say anything about there not being any more Snyderverse. He doesn't say anything about there not being any future films. There's a subtle acknowledgement in what he said that there may not be any future films. Even though he doesn't address it specifically, there's a somber tone to what it is that he has to say. But also, he doesn't ever come straight out and say, even though it had been reported previously that he's not going to continue on with his version of the cinematic universe. But there's a looming question hanging in the air right now of, are we going to be able to see more Snyderverse films? Are we ever going to be able to see more Justice League films? But let's get back to Justice League for a second, you guys. Let's get back to Justice League for a second. Overall, I really liked this movie. I was expecting to like it. I wasn't expecting to really like it, and I really liked it. Now, contrast that to my fiance Kim's experience. I'm not going to say she was as excited as I was to see it, but she was kind of like, hey, today's Zack Snyder Day. Yay, Zack Snyder's Justice League. Hey, yeah, today's the day that we're going to watch it, right? And we started watching it, and the story started progressing. Now, it's a lot of exposition in the first half of the movie. There's so much exposition in the first 2 hours. The first 2 hours is all setup. It's all build up. It's all character development that we never got in the first film. I don't think that it's unfair to say that Cyborg is the literal heart and soul of this team. Everybody's been talking about how important Cyborg is to the Justice League. And I can only, I don't want to be a parrot. I don't want to echo what everybody else is saying, but it's also true, you guys. It's true that without Cyborg, there is no Justice League. There just isn't in this iteration. I mean, yeah, Superman and Batman are kind of like the central figures. And I guess an argument could be made that this version of Justice League would not exist without the Flash. But Cyborg is the most important team member. Yes, Batman went out and assembled the team. I get it. And they all did it for the benefit of Superman and ultimately to bring Superman back to life. Good for them. But the most important member of this team is Cyborg. The most important member of this team is Cyborg. The emotional journey that he goes on is so important to the film. It blows my mind how his story got so neutered for the theatrical version. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. I love the character development. I love the music. Danny Elfman did a pretty good score to the theatrical version, but my goodness, Junkie XL, I loved this score. It was wonderful. It harkened back to the Man of Steel soundtrack. It harkened back to the Wonder Woman soundtrack. We got some Batman themes in there. We got some Flash themes in there. It just felt different, and it changed the pace. I remember, the sequence where in London where there's this kind of like bomb heist or whatever, where like terrorists are gonna like blow up a bank in London, and it's gonna take out like 4 square blocks, and it's gonna totally disrupt like financial stuff in London, or global markets or whatever, and then Wonder Woman foils that whole thing. Not much changes in the editing a little bit. There's a few changes in the editing process from the theatrical cut to the Zack Snyder cut. But the biggest difference was the musical score. The musical score kept me engaged in this so much more than the theatrical cut. Now, some things that I, take issue with is, it's a 4-hour movie. And to me, it felt like a 4-hour movie. This movie kept going and going and going. I was watching John Campea yesterday, and one of his critiques of this is that you could take out the introduction to the character of Barry Allen, where he's applying for a job at a puppy rescue, something or other, and then there's that whole rescue sequence with Iris West. They never actually come out and say it's Iris West, but come on, we all know that it's Iris West, right? They could have taken that entire sequence out. I completely agree with John Campea on this. They could have taken that out and would have changed nothing about the character of the Flash. I like the introduction to Barry Allen that we got in the theatrical cut, which is, he comes home one day and there's Bruce Wayne just sitting in his living room. Like that's all the more introduction we need to his character. Now, all the rest of the stuff of like him doing the Speed Force and using his speed to build electricity and like being a part of the Justice League in that regard, so important. I love how they changed it for this. I like the changes that they made in color correction. My goodness, the last battle sequence in the theatrical cut where the sky was all red, that just felt weird. I like that they corrected that. That's not a thing. Anyway, like I know we're gonna get more into talking about the crux of Zack Snyder's Justice League and all the rest of it, but I want to go and take your live questions. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said, this is an open spoiler discussion, so let's jump into the comments and see what you guys have to say about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Noob Nation says, "Hi, big fan. You're doing great work." Oh, dude, thank you so much, Noob Nation. I really appreciate that. To hear compliments come out on the internet is such a rare thing, especially on YouTube. People on the internet, it's so easy to be cynical and to cut people down and to show them their weaknesses and flaws and say, "Man, you're doing it wrong." But Noob Nation, like that is really sweet. That's I can't tell you like what that means to me. So thank you so much for that. Crip says, you can't talk about this without me. That's right. Crip, you have been a watcher for a little while now, and I'm not sure where which one of my previous videos kind of got on your radar, but we've been having discussions for a while now, both on camera and off. And you just being a part of the community is you're an invaluable member here. Another huge shout out to Matthew Wiles, who lives up in Leeds. Matthew Wiles has been with me not just since the beginning, but Matthew Wiles and I go way back. I've known Matthew for, a decade and a half, something like that. Whoa, I'm thinking about that. We're coming up on 2 decades. I have known Matthew Wiles for about 19 years. That's crazy. Anyway. But without you guys, there's other members of the community as well who support the channel and give us like really interesting things to talk about and have really good, interesting perspectives and points of view. I can't thank you guys enough of like how much this means to me, of how engaged we are. And that's the whole point of Gotta Love Them Movies. That's the whole point of Gotta Love Them Movies, is to create a community where film fans can come together and we'll just talk about the stuff that we love. Maybe we don't have a lot of love for a specific topic or subject or whatever, but we love movies. We love storytelling. We love television. This is what we do. And that's what I'm trying to build here, you guys. That's what I'm trying to build here. Crip goes on to say, if you see this comment before I leave, I can't watch this vid, sadly, because I want to watch the whole thing with my fam tomorrow. Do good with the review, my guy. Oh, my goodness, Crip. So you haven't, it sounds like you haven't watched Zack Snyder's Justice League yet. You are in for a treat. I know this was one of the movies that you were so anticipating and so amped up and so ramped up for. I hope what I talked about earlier didn't spoil too much for you. But if you've seen the theatrical cut, it's not that different. There's just so much more. We understand why people are doing what it is that they're doing. You say, Kay, I actually stack headphones in. Oh, I actually have headphones in. Kay, I actually stack headphones in. I have. I'm sorry, Crip. Give me one more comment in there to clarify what it is that you're saying. I'm not sure I quite understand what it is that you're saying there, but yeah, I mean, like, this version of Justice League is not revolutionary when it comes to reinventing the original wheel, right? But it's perfecting it. I say that it's not a perfect movie. First of all, it's way too long. I talked about this earlier about sitting down to watch this with Kim, and Kim is she likes the stuff. She likes like superhero movies. But when there was no action in the first hour and a half, almost 2 hours of the movie, she's like, "Why are we watching a superhero movie that doesn't have any superheroism in it?" Crip says, I've seen the film. I'm just watching it with my family tomorrow. Oh, gotcha. Okay, I gotcha. Which goes back to your original comment of, if you see this comment before I leave, watch this video, sadly, because I want to watch the whole thing with my fam tomorrow. Do good with the review, my guy. Yeah. Oh, okay, I got you. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Man, this, what, I don't know what there is else to say. Like, there's, okay, Crip, you've already seen the movie. And this is an open spoiler discussion. So, I just want to mention briefly Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern. We don't know which at least I don't know which Green Lantern they portrayed in the flashback scene from 5,000 years prior to this story being told. There is a Green Lantern in this big epic battle up against Darkseid. I think he, hits Darkseid over the head or something, kind of cripples him for a minute, and then somebody else cuts his hand off, which it lets the ring become null and void for the user. That particular Green Lantern dies. So, but moving forward, they keep mentioning Green Lantern, the Green Lantern Corps throughout the movie. Even Zack Snyder, as he was saying, this Justice League movie was supposed to be the first of a trilogy of Justice League movies, kind of in the same epic way that Lord of the Rings is a 3-part trilogy, right? I like that. I like the setup. We have in the epilogue, Deathstroke pops up, Slade Wilson talking to Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. We have this weird dystopian future vision that Bruce Wayne is having of, like, you know, he has to team up with Deathstroke and Princess Mara and the Joker, Jared Leto's Joker, to go on kind of a suicide mission to, you know, save Superman. And, you know, now they have to go head to head against Superman, who has been taken over by Darkseid. Now he works for Darkseid, with the Life Equation, having acquired the Life Equation. Man, like, this movie is so steeped in rich, I don't know. Yes, storytelling, but man, like, there's so much to this. So when I mentioned Martian Manhunter and, like, the Green Lantern Corps, I would very much like to see that carry on. I would like to see more of that. Yeah, I would just like to see more of that. I think there are. So Zack Snyder, when he directed Man of Steel, the guy who eventually is revealed to be Martian Manhunter, he plays one of the major generals in the first Man of Steel film. On the set of Man of Steel, Zack Snyder kind of whispers to him. He's like, "Hey, so whisper, 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 whisper. Nobody knows this, but your character is eventually going to turn out to be Martian Manhunter." I think that's so clever. I love that. I love planting those seeds so early for something that potentially could be an incredible payoff. All right. There is... cool. I don't know what's going on here. Let me see if I can fix this this comment box to include... Sorry, guys. Bear with me for a second. There are comments coming in that I can't really put up on screen, or rather, the screen isn't allowing me. This is so unprofessional of me to do, but hey, I'm doing it anyway. Let's see if this works. There we go. All right, that kind of works. How's that? Let's bring this up here. Again, like I said, producing a live show is awesome, but it also sucks because of, you know, stuff like this. All right. Here we go. Crip deleted a message, and I'm not even getting the full thing on here. Again, you guys, super unprofessional. Here we go. There we go. We'll cut that off there. And like I said, you guys, this is so unprofessional of me, but this is what we're doing right now, just because we need to get all these comments in here up on screen. Cool. It says, we can talk on something like Discord, if that's okay with you. I don't really do Discord. I'm trying to keep like a uniform platform on YouTube right now, Crip. I know previously you had sent a comment about something about collaborating on videos. Tell you what, Crip, if you're still there, if you're still watching this, can you send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com? Let's have a future discussion about what we were just talking about with, like, video collaborations and stuff. Send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com. I'm trying to keep everything in YouTube. And I'm like, there's a if you can look at how many subscribers I have, we're pretty low. We're pretty low on the subscriber list in terms of watched content and stuff like that. So I'm in the process of kind of rebranding a little bit with the YouTube channel. Yeah, so I'm changing some of the format of some of the stuff that I'm doing right now, but let's have a future discussion about that. Just send me an email. Redacted83 says, "Yo, let's talk DC." Yeah, man, let's talk DC. What did you guys like about Justice League, the Snyder Cut? What did you not like about Justice League, the Snyder Cut? Like I said, if you're just tuning in, I loved Zack Snyder's Justice League. I don't think that it's a perfect movie, and I also need to preface this by saying I'm not the biggest Zack Snyder fan. Man of Steel was okay. I had a lot of issues with the way Jonathan Kent died. It just seemed unnecessary to me. I had a lot of problems with BVS. But now that I've had so much time for these movies to sit with me, and I really did not like the theatrical cut of Justice League, but now that I've had time for these movies to sit with me, sorry, I'm just wiping my nose. I have been able to appreciate the films for what they are. I think we all want these movies to be something of what they're not, but I have been able to kind of over time accept them for what they are. So taking Man of Steel, taking BVS, taking Zack Snyder's Justice League now, if you think of it as a trilogy, it ends with you wanting more, which is crazy to think that a 4-hour movie has the ability to make you want more. That's crazy. I feel like this needed to be a tight 3 hours. Had he edited it down to 3 hours, I think we could have had something awesome. I think we totally could have had something awesome. Redacted 83 says, I love that one of the biggest problems with Justice League 2017 was we had no arc for each character. This movie gave them the time to shine individually. My goodness, that is so spot on. That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. Each of these characters had so much opportunity to not just shine. They all shone. They all shone. They all shined. But we also understand, including Steppenwolf himself, we all understand their motivations. Like in 2017 theatrical Justice League, when we see Cyborg be all brooding and like morose, and he's like, "Man, I don't want to join your Justice League party." Why not? Like, what else are you doing? In this version, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, we understand he's upset with his father. I'm sure he feels remorse for the death of his mother. He feels survivor's guilt. They don't ever come out and call it survivor's guilt, but the way Ray Fisher plays that character, he most definitely has survivor's guilt. He harbors so much ill will towards his father. Maybe not for saving his, maybe a little bit for saving his life, but the way he saved his life and how absent his father was in his life growing up. The only thing his father ever cared about was his work. He didn't care about Victor Stone. He didn't care about his son. Like, he was a star football player. He didn't care about that. He cared about science. He cared about alien technology. He cared about furthering the understanding of knowledge and all this stuff about the world. And the only relationship he ever had with his son was when he could save his son's life through alien technology, blending that stuff together. That is why Cyborg was so morose and brooding about his father. That's why. We understand, and when we see that story, we understand. When Wonder Woman goes to the Greek temple and uses first of all, I thought that was a little cheesy that, she just kind of like goes in and takes the arrow and, the arrow gets inserted into the wall and here's this trap door that opens. That was a little cheesy, but whatever. We understand when she goes into that sacred shrine or like that tomb, for lack of a better word, and she sees the scrolls up on the wall. We see her go through this emotional journey of, oh no, I understand what is about to come. And we see also, didn't her mother, Hippolyta, didn't she die in the theatrical version? I think she died in the theatrical version. She survived in this version. Somebody correct me on that. If I'm wrong about that, somebody correct me on that, but I believe that's true. Also, I didn't see the need. Like, why did Hippolyta have to die? That just seemed unnecessary. So I like that she survived. Again, somebody correct me on that. Redacted 83 says, let's make sure I didn't skip anything. Cyborg and Flash finally got their time in the sun. Yeah. I'm a little conflicted when it comes to Ezra Miller. I love his portrayal as the Flash. I do. I love his portrayal as the Flash. I think it's awesome. I love his quirkiness. Where I'm conflicted is that it all comes from that incident that happened almost a year ago now in Iceland, where he physically assaulted a woman and threw her to the ground on camera. That may have been staged. That may have been a publicity stunt. Everybody may have been a part of it. Maybe it was an accident. Maybe it didn't happen the way that we saw happen in the video. My problem here is that it was never publicly addressed by Warner Brothers. It was never publicly addressed by Ezra Miller. Everything was just kept on the quiet. It was kept on the down low. That's what I'm not okay with. So now when I'm watching this movie, I don't know how I should feel towards Ezra Miller. He's a wonderful actor, and he's so charismatic and interesting. I love watching him on screen. But I'm also left with these feelings of like, just give me a reason. And Warner Brothers hasn't done that, and Ezra Miller himself hasn't done that. So I don't know. I find that tangentially problematic. Anyway, Crip says Joker in this actually reminded me of his one day can make a man go crazy by making Batman angry with their yeah, I mean, like, all you need is one bad day. All it takes is one bad day, I believe is the quote from The Killing Joke. I'll have to look that up, but yeah, all it takes is one bad day. And to have Joker turn that on Batman, not in terms, because we all know, like, Batman and Joker are cut from the same cloth. They're cut from the same cloth. We don't necessarily technically know an official backstory when it comes to Joker's origin. There is no official origin. Killing Joke is it's in its own realm. It's not like an official origin story. Same thing with the Joaquin Phoenix movie. It's not an official origin story. It could be, but it's, as of right now, it's not official, right? But Joker and Batman are cut from the same cloth, you guys. They're kind of the same person. They've taken very different paths. But to see Joker and I love the line at the end when Batman is, or rather when Joker is starting down this verbal dialogue and Batman cuts him off and he says, "Be very, very careful what you say next." And Joker's like, "I don't care. Like, what are you going to do to me? What are you going to do, Batman? What are you going to do that you haven't already done? Are you going to kill me? Because let's be honest, you need me. You're not going to kill me." And he goes down this dark dialogue of, where were you when, like, what kind of a person hires a child to do their dirty work? I killed this kid, no problem. And you just threw him to the wolves. Is it my fault for killing him, or is it your fault for putting him in my path? Like, what a brilliant intellectual conversation. Oh, man, that was great. Redacted 83 says, Flash was so different in this movie, too. Right? In the 2017 one, Flash was all I didn't know how to fight. Oh, Flash was all, I don't know how to fight. I just push here. He had an actual barch and did stuff. Yeah, I mean, they didn't give Flash anything to do. He was the whiny character. He was the, "Oh, I'm scared." Excuse me. Yeah, he was all like, "I'm scared. I don't want to be here." Like, it's exciting to be here because I'm, hanging out with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the Flash. He was the Flash. Aquaman, Cyborg. He's with all these amazing super people that he's like, wow, this is awesome. He's like the Ant-Man, right? He's like the Ant-Man of the group. I was like, wow, this is awesome. But he's terrified. He's not like Ant-Man in that regard. Ant-Man's like, guess I don't have anything else to do. Like, what are they going to do that they haven't already done to me, right? Yeah, but in the 2017 version, they didn't give him anything. You're right. He pushed a cart out of the way, saving some people in like Chernobyl or like whatever Russian village it was. Okay, great. You got them out of harm's way. Woo! You activated the mother box, bringing Superman back to life. Great. If you couldn't do that, I guarantee Deus Ex Machina would have found a way to bring Superman back. I guarantee it. That's the whole purpose of Deus Ex Machina. So yeah, you're right. I love that they gave him something to do. Redacted 83 goes on to say, I would be interested to know how much stuff Joss Whedon cut out of Flash and Cyborg and how much was new. Almost all of it. Almost all. So, and again, somebody can fact check me on this, but essentially what happened is when the Snyders encountered their family tragedy and had to exit the project, Joss Whedon came in, and you know that there was studio pushback because, understandably so, Zack Snyder, had the family tragedy never taken place, never happened, he wasn't going to make a 4-hour movie. Maybe a 3-hour movie, but, you know, probably closer to 2.5. And the type of movie that he was going to make, I know Warner Brothers wasn't all that excited about it because mixed reactions to Man of Steel, very mixed reactions to BVS. People were very, very polar opposite on the BVS thing. So they, needless to say, they were skittish. They were now, and this was also before Walter Hamada took over. Keep that in mind. It was before Walter Hamada took over at DC Films. The Zack Snyder movies were not. I mean, that was the direction that they committed to, but they weren't that. They didn't back his films the way that, you know, Walter Hamada backs like the current DC films, right? So when Joss Whedon stepped in to take over, you know, Joss Whedon got an earful from the DC Films president. I can't remember his name. It was Kevin Tsuchihara? Is that his name? Kevin Tsuchihara? I think somebody fact check me on that. You know, he got an earful from Kevin Tsuchihara saying what Zack Snyder has created, we're nervous about it. You, Joss Whedon, have created these amazing Marvel movies, and people love you, and they love your work, and Firefly, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and yes, Avengers 1 and Avengers 2, so please fix the Justice League. So Joss Whedon threw half of the script out. Joss Whedon rewrote half of the script. That's why it's all different. It's not all different. Like, it's the same basic story. But the way the story plays out, the way the story happens, he removed all of that Cyborg stuff. He removed all of that Flash stuff. They rewrote it. Not only did they rewrite it, they refilmed half of the film. So half of the movie that you get in the theatrical cut of Justice League, that was all Joss Whedon's reshoots. Not all of it. Half of it was. So yeah, it's I love that they actually put. I love that. What am I trying to say? I love that Zack Snyder was able to see his reality, his vision become a reality. Let's see. I'd be interested. Redacted 83 says the Joker and Batman exchange was absolutely amazing, right? Yeah, it certainly was. I was like, wow, I want to watch the sequel. Like, now, me too. And I say that as a person who's not even that big of a fan of the Zack Snyder movies. BVS, like I said, I have come around to BVS, but it took me a long time. And even now, I don't love it. I hate, to quote Captain Hook, I hate Peter Pan. But let's take out Peter Pan and let's put in Martha, the Martha quote. Like, that whole Martha. And I understand, like, Batman understanding that through the name Martha, that he has a love, Superman has a mom and Batman has a mom and they're both named like, I get it. I understand. I just think it's stupid. It's so dumb. That's the crux. That's the MacGuffin this entire movie hangs on. Nope. I reject that, Zack Snyder. I reject that. But the movie as a whole, okay, like if you watch the movie for what it is and not for what it's not, then I think that it can be an enjoyable watch. It's its own thing. I also love in Zack Snyder's Justice League, because like my brain is now thinking about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I love that in Zack Snyder's Justice League, in the epilogue, when we kind of like see, it's like fake Lex Luthor in his jail cell, and the guard's like, all right, Luthor, get out here. And it's just like this bald-headed man like in a jail cell. We get that Lex Luthor theme from Junkie XL. It's the theme. It's the Lex Luthor. I think it's called "The Red Capes Are Coming." I think is the name of the track from Batman versus Superman, and they use that same theme. That da dun da dun da dun dun bum bum bum. I love. Oh my gosh, I love that theme. It's one of my favorite themes in the Snyderverse. Anyway. But yeah, you're right. I do want to see that sequel like now, right? Because I wasn't a huge fan. Now kind of am, maybe. Wow, never thought I'd say that. Crip says the best visuals in the whole movie was the faster than speed of light traveling through the galaxy bit. Yeah. Let's talk about the visuals for a second. The visual effects in this movie were incredible. If for nothing else, Henry Cavill's CGI'd out mustache, that stupid like, hey, I'm Henry Cavill lip, it doesn't exist anymore. They fixed it because guess what? All of those scenes had already been filmed before Henry Cavill went off to go do Mission Impossible 7 or 6. Mission Impossible Fallout, yeah. So they had no post-production to do on his lip. Oh, man. That upset me so much. It was the dumbest thing. Like, really? You can't fix... It annoyed me so bad. But yeah, the visual... Like, Steppenwolf's armor looked incredible. Steppenwolf looked like an actual formidable villain. He felt like a formidable villain because of the backstory that they gave us and his motivations and showing us how terrifying he actually is. So there was that. But the visuals of his costume, the whole time I kept thinking, like, if you were to go up and like touch his arm, you can't even like grab his arm because he's got like these little spiky things in his armor that are like, he's a cactus. He's a walking cactus. It was so cool. And yeah, the same thing with the Flash, like in the Speed Force. Speed Force looked incredible. There were a few visual effect shots that didn't look great. Like when Connie Nielsen, Hippolyta, when she was leaving the temple the first time that Steppenwolf had made his appearance in Themyscira, and she's calling out to her fellow Amazonians like, close the doors, hit it, like hit the post or whatever, like close the doors, and she's like sliding out from underneath like this closing stone door, very Indiana Jones style. That visual effect shot did not look very good. It looked somewhat unfinished, right? But the rest of the movie looked fine. It looked not only fine, it looked so much better than the 2017 version. Redacted 83. So the big question is, Warner Brothers said no sequel, but now it's set up for 2 sequels. Yeah. So earlier in the show, we kind of addressed this a little bit. You may have missed it, Redacted. Where is my browser? Okay. So the first thing, when asked, by Zack Snyder, this is an article from Cinema Blend. Zack Snyder has a message, for the hashtag Restore the Snyderverse fans, after they helped to make Justice League a reality. This is what he had to say. Listen, I really appreciate the support. It's unbelievable. I think it's just a testament in a lot of ways, to the way that we approach these characters. And I think that the way that I feel about them is similar to the way that a lot of fans feel about them. They take this seriously and they believe in this mythology. They want to know. They want to go on that journey. All I can say is that we didn't think that we'd be making this movie and releasing it. That's for sure. So I'm happy to talk to the fans anytime that they want about the universe. He was also interviewed in Deadline, like the whole thing about like creating. Yes, he set it up, and he even knowing, I guess, that there wasn't going to be more Snyderverse films, he still set it up in a way that there could be, which tells me, a nobody film fan, I don't necessarily know what I'm talking about, but it says to me that there's a possibility that if the hashtag release the Snyder Cut movement was able to bring this movie into reality that we can all see and be a part of and connect with each other, there exists there exists a possibility that we may get, maybe not 2 Snyder Justice League films, but we may get another one. We might. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League opens the door for a possibility of another installment. A possibility that wasn't possible before. The fact that we even have this thing, I don't know. I feel like obviously Zack Snyder knows more than we do, which begs the question, wouldn't he have just wrapped it up with a nice, neat, clean bow at the end? Where, okay, hey, we saved the day. Maybe kind of tease like a tiny little thing, like with Martian Manhunter just kind of like flying off into the distance of like, well, if you ever need me, I'm here. My name is John. Is it John or John? I'm not sure about that. But some people call me Martian Manhunter. Whee! And he flies off, right? Roll credits. Sorry, my nose is nuts. I mean, that would have been an interesting enough tag just to leave that. But it wasn't just that. That wasn't the only ending of the movie. We had the post-apocalyptic vision from Bruce Wayne. And I understand, like, this was his original vision. The version that we got was his original vision long before we found out that there weren't going to be more Snyder movies. I just contend it seems a little too perfect, and this movie is too good not to have a follow-up. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off the mark. I don't know. We'll see. Redacted 83 says one sequel to here, Deadshot is hunting Batman, and another in the far future with Joker. One sequel here, Deadshot is hunting Batman, and another in the far future with Joker. Deadshot or Deathstroke? Because Deathstroke was the one that we saw in the movie. Deadshot was played by Will Smith in the original Suicide Squad movie. I mean, possible. If we end up getting a sequel, I mean, that would probably be the subplot, because the question that I want to have answered is, how did Lex Luthor know? First of all, how did Lex Luthor know who Bruce Wayne Batman was? How did he know the identity there? Because even more than Peter Parker and Spider-Man, Batman and Bruce Wayne is an even more sacred identity to be kept, right? But it also begs the question of, like, why was Bruce Wayne just so willy-nilly going around, like, passing out his business card of, like, hi, I'm Bruce Wayne. You may know me as Batman. Like, hang on, what? That, I don't know, that just seemed weird to me. Anyway, but yeah, that is a possible story for a future installment, is Deathstroke hunting Batman. But I do kind of like how it ended in that post-apocalyptic vision the Bruce Wayne had of like, hey, we kind of have like it's his own. It's like the Batman version of Suicide Squad. Kind of, I don't know, kind of weird. Crip says Justice League Annihilation and Justice League Vengeance as the subtitles for the films, please. I mean, yeah, who knows? That could work. Annihilation, Justice League Annihilation, Justice League Vengeance. I think Vengeance is a little. I mean, they're both very on the nose, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like if they do end up doing sequels. Which, who knows, man? Who knows if they're going to do sequels? Justice League Annihilation. I mean, it does have kind of like, obviously, an epic ring to it. It is very much on the nose. There's something about Justice League Vengeance. Because, like, think of it in terms of Star Wars, right? You have A New Hope, you have Empire Strikes Back, and then you have Return of the Jedi. So you have setup, fall, redemption, right? So even in the titles, and I kind of feel like that would be the story arc of these Justice League films. Is the second one, like the second one theoretically would end with Darkseid just completely taking over the life equation and getting Superman on his side. And so you have the darkest time. It would end with the darkest time. It would end with Luke Skywalker having his hand cut off. He's hanging from a ship in the middle of Cloud City, and he just found out that his arch nemesis is his father. What? That's how that movie would end. So I don't know. I mean, those titles could work. I don't know. We'll see if they ever happen. Crip says, can we talk about Darkseid quickly? Nope. Of course we can. Yeah, I really dug the portrayal of Darkseid. In fact, I wanted more Darkseid, which I think is the whole point of having a second or third film. Like, obviously, this is Justice League's version of like the Avengers and kind of how the first Avengers teased Thanos. This is a much more rushed version. And to compare, it's so unfair to make these comparisons. To say, well, Avengers versus Justice League, yada, 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 yada. What Marvel is doing is so completely different from how the Zack Snyder movies were unfolding, right? So first and foremost, that's an unfair comparison for us to make. Second and foremost, you guys, we're hitting the 1 hour. We're at 1 hour and 3 minutes, so we're going to start wrapping this up shortly. So if you have any other comments, quickly jump down to the comment section so we can address those. But yeah, we're going to wrap this up pretty soon. Yeah, so like the portrayal of Darkseid it's not quite as menacing as Thanos, because in the Marvel movies, we just had more movies to give us little bits and pieces of information about Thanos. In this, we have two, really, if you want to extend it out that far. There was a quick vision that Bruce Wayne had in Batman versus Superman, and it wasn't even that much of a vision. It was just a decimated landscape, right? And then in this movie, they refer to Darkseid as being the biggest, baddest guy, and he's coming, he's a huge threat, which he is. But we don't have these films don't have the benefit of having a 20 movie build-up to your main villain. They don't have that luxury, because they're very different films. They're very different in their storytelling style, right? But that being said, I like what they did. I like the kind of, they didn't give him much of a backstory, but I like the introduction to him, and I like that Darkseid wasn't the main villain of this movie. The main villain, 100%, is Steppenwolf. But Steppenwolf is only the villain because he's serving Darkseid, and this story is building up to a bigger story. we could have seen Frodo in the Shire get the ring and be freaked out and then bury it. And okay, yeah, maybe he goes to Bree, but what happens if Frodo goes to Bree, drops the ring off with Aragorn, and says, "Hey, it's your responsibility now. Peace out. I'm from the Shire. I am not cut out for this sort of thing. You take the ring. You destroy it. Bye." But we would not have had the epic scope and scale that we got with Lord of the Rings. Same thing with this. We would not have the epic scope and scale if it weren't for forgot his name, Steppenwolf. If it weren't for Steppenwolf, like serving Darkseid the way that he did. Redacted 83 says in 2017, Steppenwolf was pretty lame, and the fact at the end that he died by the hands of his own parademons, parrot demons, by the hands of his own parademons, because he was scared. Lame. Oh, there was so much about that movie that was lame. Superman here. Okay, in a nutshell. All the Cyborg stuff aside, the Cyborg stuff is the most important delineation between the theatrical cut and the Zack Snyder cut. That's the most important delineation. The second biggest delineation between Zack Snyder's Justice League and the theatrical cut of Justice League was Superman showing up at the end to save the day. In 2017's theatrical cut of Justice League, Superman showed up out of the blue and saved the day. Now, an argument could be made that he did the same thing in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but I contend that he didn't. He showed up to stop the blade of Steppenwolf's axe from hitting Cyborg so that Flash could rush in, use his electrical speed force energy at the speed of light to push Cyborg into the mother box to separate it all. Superman showed up in the same way that Captain Marvel shows up in Endgame. She doesn't save the day, but she turns the tide. If you go back and rewatch Zack Snyder's Justice League, because when Superman shows up, he does just enough to Steppenwolf so that Wonder Woman and Aquaman can show Steppenwolf who's boss. Yes, Superman cut off one of Steppenwolf's horns. Okay, fine. And he beat him to a pulp, but he didn't kill him. He just did enough. He was a member of the Justice League doing 1/6 part of the job of a member of the Justice League. Unlike in the theatrical cut, he shows up and he saves the day. Yes, it's the parademons that kill off Steppenwolf once and for all. But in the theatrical cut of Justice League, it's Superman who shows up as Deus Ex Machina and saves the day. He is the literal God machine of that movie. But not in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He only does enough as a 1/6 member of the Justice League to turn the tide. Yeah, he could have taken over that whole thing. I'm sure, like with Superman's powers, he could have gone in and ripped the mother box apart himself. He could have single-handedly taken care of all the parademons and single-handedly taken out Steppenwolf, but he didn't, because he understands he's part of a team. He wasn't there when the battle began, so it's not his job to finish the fight. That's one of the many things that I loved about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Just a few more comments here, guys. Then we're gonna have to call it quits. Wow. Let's go. Redacted 83 says, "Did you catch that Lois Lane was pregnant?" I kind of did. I mean, there's the scene where she goes to take the pregnancy test. And I think they very subtly, very, very subtly nodded to the like when she's in the cornfield with Clark. That during that sequence, admittedly, I was a little distracted, but yeah, I believe that they did a very subtle nod to the fact that she told Clark that she was pregnant. I mean, there was the whole thing with the ring, right? He's like, oh, so I'll take that as an I do, or I'll take that as a yes. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, the ring. And she's like, oh yeah. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, redacted, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's that was the scene where they refer to her being pregnant. Crip says, oh yeah, that decapitation was mental. Yup. Like, oh, I absolutely loved it because it allowed Wonder Woman, sorry, I'm just itching my eye. You guys, just allergies. Doing some good old-fashioned eye scratching. It allowed Wonder Woman to have her moment because of all the members of the Justice League, I feel like the Amazonians had the biggest bone to pick with Steppenwolf. So to give Wonder Woman that epic beheading of Steppenwolf at the end as his body gets sucked back into the dimension of Darkseid. Oh, and then Darkseid steps on his head and then crushes it. Oh, it was a beautiful moment. It validated I don't know what it is I'm trying to say here. It validated the epic war and struggle and the battle between Steppenwolf and the Amazonians. It was fantastic. Redacted says, Deathstroke, forgive my insolence. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you were talking. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. So you were talking about earlier. You said Deadshot, or you said Deadshot. But yes, it is Deathstroke. Your insolence is forgiven, sir. He goes on to say, I'm giving you the pronoun of he. I hope that's appropriate. I have no idea what your pronouns are. Redacted says, they set up Darkseid brilliantly in Steppenwolf's story. Steppenwolf is so powerful, but is actually scared of Darkseid. I know. Yeah. There's no other way to put it. Yeah, you're exactly right. It was perfect. I don't know if it was perfect, but it worked so well, and I really liked it. Perfect is an interesting word when you're referring to art. Because it's just subjective. Art is just subjective by its very nature. So there's no right or wrong. It's what you like and what you don't like. To the artist, it might be perfect. And to an individual, it might be perfect. But perfect is not an objective term. It's a purely subjective term when referring to art. But yeah. That was great. Last comment by Redacted 83. When Bruce, sorry, I ran out of beverage, so I'm coughing a lot right now. Redacted 83 says, when Bruce Wayne tells Superman he bought the bank, you see Lois with a cot. I mean, like, we all saw that moment coming. Like, and I believe that they put it into the 2017 theatrical version of the movie as well. How did you convince the bank to pay off the do whatever with the loan? I bought the bank. Like, I think we all, like, even if you haven't seen the original 2017 movie, it's such a predictable line. It's such a predictable line. But yeah, I love that. That's a great catch. I bought the bank. He's so rich. And this is a sign that we need to wrap up soon. Sorry, guys. He is so rich that he could just willy-nilly buy the bank, willy-nilly walk into some Scandinavian village town and say, hey, here's $25,000 in cash. I want to talk to... no, it's a cot. Oh, it's a cot for the baby. I get it. I get it. No, I didn't catch that. That's a great catch. That's a great catch. No, I didn't catch that. Okay, sorry. I misinterpreted what you were saying. But even still, like, think about that dichotomy for a second. Bruce Wayne, who is so filthy rich, and, you know, here's Lois Lane walking into an old farmhouse with a cot. I think there's something in there as well. But yeah, okay, yeah. I totally get it. I see what you're saying now. No, I didn't catch that. That's a great catch, though. Interesting. Which now leads into Superman Returns, starring Brandon Routh, which is a film controversial. I know. I love that movie. I think it's a wonderful movie. It has massive problems. Don't think that I don't see these problems. I totally do. I just forgive them because I really like that movie. Okay, you guys. This is it for me. I think I'm done for the day. My voice is starting to go. I'm getting a little coffee down in my lower throat. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this discussion. Redacted 83 and Crip. I believe there were a few more. Who was it? Noob Nation. You guys, thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Thanks for giving us stuff to talk about and having this spoiler discussion. I love this stuff. I want to do more of this stuff. It's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Today is the premiere of episode 1, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I would love to have more of these live discussions. If you guys want to have more of these live discussions, let me know. Jump down to the comment section below. Send me an email at, where's my email thing at? Send me an email at gottalovethemmovies@gmail.com if you have any ideas for topics or things. I'm not going to be doing live shows every day of the week. I had been doing live shows every day of the week. I'm starting to change my format, my game plan a little bit. I'm going to shorten things down a little bit. But yeah, if you enjoy these live chats, please, let's do more of them. This is the thing that I love the most. And like I said, this is part of the community. This is the part of the community that I'm trying to build, that I want to give people a place to come and talk. So if you know of anybody, my goodness, you guys, if you know of anybody who wants to just talk about this kind of stuff, send them over here to God I Love Them Movies and be part of the live discussion stuff. As time moves forward, I will let you guys know when these live discussions are happening so that you can plan them into your schedules, so it's not like a willy-nilly, hey, we're doing this thing last minute. I don't want to catch anybody off guard. Which means I have to do some better planning. But like I said, there's some changes. I'm going to keep doing the 60-second movie reviews. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. You guys, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for it. Thanks for helping us and just giving us stuff to talk about. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that, I guarantee you, is exactly what Zack Snyder and his Justice League would want you to do. You guys, we live in a weird, crazy world where everybody has their own thoughts and opinions, and sometimes those thoughts and opinions clash. So if you have an opportunity to infuse a little kindness into the world, if you have an opportunity to speak kind words to each other, please, I implore you, take those opportunities. As always, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. Hopefully, I will see you on Monday. I don't know. I may have to work my flight attendant job. I don't know. We'll see.